Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Today we have Miss Himani Shah with us. Himani has done her post-graduation in social work from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, which is a very, very reputed institute of the country. Welcome to eSchool, Himani.
Thank you.
A little bit more about Himani. She has done her specialization in mental health, and lately Himani has been working with the COVID relief crisis counseling helpline in Delhi, and she has been a lot of help to most of the youth who have called her up for seeking guidance during these crisis time. Himani has also done her internship with a lot of government and non-government organizations in both rural and urban settings. So, Himani, moving on to your first question for the day is, when we tell somebody that you are doing your work in service or in social sciences or in social welfare, people don't take it like a profession or a career. For them, it's more like a service or a philanthropy. So, what do you have to say to that? Is it a profession and is there a career in this field?
Yeah, I would start answering that question by saying that the common perception and narrative, especially in India, is that social work or social service is seen as something which is only seen as, say, donating money or teaching children, or seen as something which is not really, which doesn't require education. It's not seen something as something which requires a degree for you to do. It's not seen as something which requires expertise or a specialization, but these are popular misconceptions that exist in our society, especially. So, when we talk about social work or social services, there are a lot of, like, across the country, there are a lot of universities and colleges teaching courses in social work, in development studies, in public policy. So, within the social and development space, there are various courses. And why it is the profession and why does it require for people to do degrees? So, for example, if you look at an NGO, if someone is managing an NGO, it's not just about getting funds and releasing them to people from marginalized background. There's a lot that goes on behind. I'm just taking one example here. So, it requires budgeting, it requires making a project proposal, it requires managing staff, it requires hiring people for it, it requires, once the program rolls out, you have to do monitoring and evaluation, you need to collect data to prove that it's effective. So there are so many things that go on behind a simple program that people see in an NGO. So all of this requires training, all of this requires education. So I think one of the biggest myths is that social work or social services do not require education, but I think it's working with people, it's managing a program, it's a full-fledged profession. So that would be my answer to your
That's
question.
beautiful. Very nicely explained, Himani, because from a common man's perspective, it's just like donation. True.
Yeah.
Himani, moving on to the next question now, since you have given a very beautiful explanation that social work can be a profession and it's a career. So, what are the various specializations that can be done in this field?
Yes. So, within the social sector and within the field of social work, there are different paths that one can take. So, some universities offer a generic bachelor's in social work and a master's in social work course, whereas there are some other universities like TIS, which offer different specializations within social work. So, I'll speak about the specializations in TIS, and I'll speak a little bit about what else can be done apart from these specializations. So, the first one is social work with a specialization in mental health, which this is also known as psychiatric social work, which is a recognized profession. So, within mental health social work, the people look at mental health not only as an individual concern, but as a health concern for a population. So it's not only about an individual who has problems coping with the environment, but also about how the society at large contributes to your mental health. So mental health is viewed from a community perspective. So mental health social workers can work in a variety of different settings, be it counseling, be it running programs on mental health, working with youth, children, adults, elderly, etc., etc. So, mental health social work is different from psychology or being a psychologist, right? So, a psychologist is someone who's a therapist who's trained to counsel people one-on-one or in a group setting. But a social worker can not only do counseling, but they are also equipped to do other things which other social workers can do, like project planning, management, monitoring, evaluation, etc. Mental health is one. Apart from that, similar to this is public health. So social work with a specialization in public health looks at public health concerns. So here, concerns like all the when we look at the health infrastructure, running programs on health, for example, if there's a program for primary healthcare centers, etc. So public health looks at health as from a community perspective again, and health not only as an absence of disease but as a right. Health is viewed as a right, and health care, when you look at health care and deficiency in healthcare, you look at the social determinants here. So when we say that a particular community is more vulnerable to health conditions, we look at health not only from the perspective of absence of disease, but what are the social factors and how we can minimize the risk in those communities. So that's public health in a nutshell. Apart from that, we have a specialization called social work with a specialization in women-centered practice. So in there, they look at issues of gender, they look at issues of violence against women, and how to bring that lens in a social work practice. So programs centered around women empowerment, etc. That's women-centered practice. Then there's one specialization in livelihood promotion. So as the name suggests, that how to increase livelihood opportunities for people from different communities. Then we have another specialization called community organization and development practice. This is a more generic specialization which looks at development of communities. Um, Apart from that, we also have a specialization called children and families. So this specifically looks at the welfare of children and working with juvenile homes and for the care and protection of children in conflict with law, etc. Um, Apart from that, social workers also work in policy, in the policy area, in research about policies, social programs, social welfare programs. Think tanks are coming up where social solutions, sustainable development, etc. So these are some areas within social work where one can specialize.
Wow, that's very comprehensive. And to be very honest, I have also been given a new perspective today because for us, the social service was always from an individual point of view, mental health was always from a micro level, and you've taken it to a macro level at a community level and a social societies level. Very nice. So, Himani, the next question for you is, what are the different career paths that one can take after their academic graduation in social service? Though you've covered some of it, is there anything that you would like to add to it?
Yes. So apart from what I have already mentioned, I'll just go over it. One is obviously non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations. So one is obviously working with NGOs. Apart from that, social entrepreneurship is coming up, wherein you have a business model and you work with communities and you set up a business with them. Something like that is also basically an individual business practice that people do. Apart from that, another big field is called CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. So all profit making companies and organizations that have a turnover of more than a certain amount of money, according to law, they are obliged to do CSR activities, which is corporate social responsibility activities, wherein they put a portion of their profits into a social cause. So in that setting, social workers come into the picture, where they work with these big organizations, corporate, like the Tata Group, the Reliance Group, like Tata Trust is the CSR branch of the Tata Group, Reliance Foundation, etc. These are some of the big names. So that's one another place, CSR, where social workers can work. Apart from that, as I mentioned, in research, in running public programs, in government jobs also, where there are consultancy positions, social workers are hired. So these are some ways. Apart from that, in healthcare projects, in international organizations like the UN, UNICEF, UNFPA, etc. So these are some of the career paths that one can take after.
Yeah, so that's a very wide spectrum ranging from corporate to government to non-government to your own practice. That's very nice. Himani, so now coming to TIS, it is one of the most reputed institutes in our country for pursuing your courses in social sciences. So could you please
Yes.
throw a little light on how to seek admission in TIS, and especially if somebody wants to pursue a career in social work?
Sure. So TIFF is a very competitive institution to get into, especially for social work. It is the best in Asia for that. It's ranked one. So the process is there are 3 steps. So first is the TIFF National Eligibility Test. So the exam usually happens in the first week of January in the year. So, for example, for 2020 admissions, the ICTIS-NET would happen in first week of January in 2020. There are it's an aptitude test which you have to clear. There are 3 sections. One is general knowledge, one is English, and one is quantitative aptitude. So the weightage is 30% for English, 30% for quantitative, and 40 for general knowledge. That was still last year. I don't know if they will change it later. So after giving this exam, there is a different cutoff for each course. So for social work as a course, the cutoff is somewhere. So out of 100 marks, I think it is safe to get 60 or 60 plus to qualify for the next round. After you make the cutoff, you're invited to the Mumbai campus for a pre-interview test and a personal interview. So the pre-interview test is a written test. It's a subjective pen paper test. Usually there are 2 questions. One is a case study kind of question wherein they give a situation and and a case is presented to you related to a social cause or situation, and you have to answer questions based on that. And the other is an essay type of question. To prepare for any of this, you have to be aware in general. There is no book that you can read. You have to be regular, reading the newspaper, up to date with the current affairs, etc. This year, for 2020, they introduced a group discussion as well after the pre-interview test, but due to COVID, they had to cancel that. So from next year, that group discussion might also be a part of the process for social work. After which there is a personal interview, there's a panel, and the interview is given. So those are the 3 steps, and after which a merit list comes in.
The last question for you, Himani, is what are the challenges if one is ready to take up social work as a career?
So I'll speak about challenges in 2 different senses, one professionally and second personally. Uh, Professionally, one thing, as we have already discussed, is that there's a lot of misinformation about the profession in general. So there's a lack of understanding about what social work as a profession is. So that can be a barrier sometimes for people professionally. Apart from that, the other thing is that even though it requires such rigorous training, uh, even after that, a lot of times it's a profession wherein people are not satisfied with the compensation they get for their skills, especially at the beginning of their careers. So I would say that it depends on what you choose to take on. For example, if someone goes for a CSR job, the kind of compensation that they would get would be higher. But NGOs have limited funding. So when it comes to how much they can compensate the people, that is a professional challenge for a lot of people, that there's dissatisfaction with the kind of compensation. organization. So that's one thing, definitely. The other thing is that it is a difficult profession to be in, and this merges professional as well as personal challenges. It's a difficult profession to be it in the sense that it can be taxing for the person who's working there. You see people suffering a lot, you see people living in very adverse conditions, you see yourself having so many privileges and others who you are working with not having it, and that can lead to guilt, that can lead to sadness, that can lead to a lot of difficult emotions when you are working with vulnerable communities. So it's very important to practice self-care and to be resilient also in that manner, because it is a huge challenge when you're working with a community, and if this is a people's profession and you really connect with them, and you have to recognize that there are certain limitations to you as a person. Organizations have limitations, the person has limitations. So this is another challenge, that you have to be strong and you have to be resilient enough to be in this profession and to be able to do justice to it. So I think these are some of the challenges.
Very, very rightly brought out, Himani. I can relate with it because some professions like being a doctor or a healthcare worker or a mental health worker, or for that matter, if you are even if you are in uniform, you see so many crises happening. You go for rescue operations. So when you deal with humans and you see misery all around, definitely I feel you have to stay strong. But at the same time, it's a very satisfying career, because at the end of the day you are touching human lives, and if you could make a difference, that brings in the joy and happiness back to us. So thank you very much for being with us at eSchool, Himani. And stay children, please stay tuned. We are going to get you more such videos, and those of you who have not yet subscribed to the channel, I request you to please subscribe.